The dinner was supposed to be simple. It's just food, polite talk, maybe a new friendship. But the moment Emma placed the extra wine glasses on the table, she felt something strange in the air, like a quiet storm. Waiting far away on the horizon, Emma and Ryan had been married for 8 years. They lived in a peaceful neighborhood outside Seattle, in a home that looked warm and welcoming. Their life was stable, predictable, safe. They woke up early, went to work, came home tired, ate dinner, watched a show, and went to bed. There were no big fights, no loud arguments, but there was also no spark. The kind of spark that once made them laugh at nothing and hold hands in grocery store lines when they met Lauren and Jason at a local charity event. It felt refreshing. Lauren was bright and confident, with quick humor and honest opinions. Jason was thoughtful, calm, and observant. The four of them talked easily that night, as if they had known each other for years. Before leaving, Emma surprised herself by saying, "You two should come over for dinner sometime." Now that sometime had arrived, Ryan adjusted his shirt. Collar while Emma checked the roast in the oven. Soft jazz played in the background. The house smelled like garlic and rosemary. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. When the doorbell rang, Emma's heart jumped for no clear reason. Lauren walked in first, smiling widely, holding a bottle of red wine. Jason followed with a friendly grin and a bouquet of white lilies. "Your house is beautiful," Lauren said warmly. Emma thanked her, suddenly aware of every small detail in the room. Ryan shook Jason's hand firmly, laughing about traffic and the Seattle rain. It all felt normal, comfortable. They sat down to eat and conversation flowed quickly. They talked about work, travel, and funny childhood memories. Lauren teased Jason about getting lost on their first date. Ryan told a story about burning dinner during his first year of marriage. Everyone laughed, but under the laughter, something subtle was happening. Lauren spoke with energy. She didn't just agree with Ryan, she challenged him. When he made a point about business trends, she leaned forward and said, "Or maybe it's not about trends. Maybe people just want something real." Ryan blinked, surprised. Emma noticed the way he smiled at that dot across the table. Jason listened closely when Emma talked about her love for photography. Most people nodded politely when she mentioned it. Jason asked questions. "What do you like to capture most?" he asked gently. "Moments," Emma replied. "When people forget they're being watched, when they're just themselves." Jason nodded slowly. "That's rare. Not everyone sees that." Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. Ryan had heard her describe photography many times before, but tonight it sounded new. They moved to the living room with their wine glasses. The lights were dimmer now, the mood softer, the music slower. Lauren curled her legs under her and said casually, "So tell me honestly, what's the hardest part about marriage?" The question hung in the air. Ryan shrugged at first. "Schedules, maybe?" Emma hesitated, then said, "Staying connected." Jason looked at her thoughtfully. "Connected how?" Emma took a breath. "Not just living together, but choosing each other every day. Not drifting." Lauren nodded slowly. "That's true. It's easy to get comfortable." Jason leaned back and said something that shifted the room. "Sometimes people stop choosing each other. They just stay because it's easier." No one spoke for a moment. Emma felt that sentence settle deep inside her chest. She wondered if Ryan felt it too. She glanced at him. He looked calm, but she knew him well enough to see the flicker in his eyes. Lauren broke the silence with a light laugh. "Okay, that got serious fast. We need dessert." But the words had already done their work. As the night went on, the conversations became more honest. They shared stories about their early dating days, the excitement, the nervousness, the small surprises that once meant everything. Emma realized she couldn't remember the last time she and Ryan stayed up late just talking without looking at their phones at one point. Ryan and Lauren stood near the kitchen island, discussing travel plans. Lauren talked about wanting to visit Italy alone one day, just to prove she could. You'd actually do that? Ryan asked, impressed. Why not? She smiled. Life's short. Emma watched from across the room, not jealous. Exactly, but aware. John noticed how animated Ryan looked. How alive! Jason sat beside Emma and said quietly, "You've been very quiet." "Just thinking," she replied. "About what?" She looked at her hands. About how easy it used to be. Jason didn't press her. He just said, "Easy doesn't always mean better. Sometimes people just stop trying." His words weren't flirtatious. They were honest. But honesty can feel powerful. Later, as the evening wound down, Lauren suggested making it a regular thing. Monthly dinners. Real conversations, no pretending. Ryan agreed quickly. "I like that." Emma forced a smile. "Me too." But inside, her emotions felt tangled. When the door finally closed behind their guests, the house felt strangely quiet. The same walls, the same furniture. But something had shifted. Ryan loosened his tie and exhaled. That was fun. Emma nodded. Slowly, yeah. He waited for her to say more, but she didn't. They cleaned up in silence. The clink of dishes sounded louder than usual. The air felt heavy in the bedroom. They got ready for bed without their usual small talk. Ryan scrolled briefly through his phone. Emma brushed her hair slowly, staring at her reflection. When they laid down, they turned off the lights. They faced opposite sides. Ryan stared into the darkness, replaying Lauren's bold confidence in his mind. It wasn't attraction in a dramatic way. It was something softer, admiration, maybe. Or a reminder of who he used to be before a routine shaped him. Emma stared at the wall, replaying Jason's attentive gaze. The way he listened. The way he noticed her passion. Neither of them had crossed a line, but something had awakened. After several minutes, Ryan finally asked quietly, "Are you thinking about what Jason said?" Emma swallowed. "Maybe. Do you think we've stopped choosing each other?" The question felt heavy between them. She didn't answer right away. She wasn't sure. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I just know tonight made me feel things I haven't felt in a while." "What things?" "Seen." Ryan closed his eyes. He understood, and that understanding scared him, because the dinner wasn't about Lauren and Jason. It was about the space that had quietly grown between him and Emma. A space they never meant to create. As the night stretched on, neither of them slept easily. Outside, the neighborhood was calm. Streetlights glowed softly. Nothing dramatic had happened. No betrayal. No raised voices. Just for adults sitting in a living room, talking about love. But sometimes that's enough. Sometimes one honest conversation is more powerful than 1,000 silent days. And as Emma lay awake, she realized something that both comforted and frightened her. The real question wasn't about the other couple. It was about whether she and Ryan were brave enough to choose each other again before comfort turned into distance they could not cross. The second dinner felt different before it even started. Emma stood in front of her closet longer than usual, changing her sweater twice. Ryan noticed but said nothing. The silence between them wasn't angry. It was careful. Both of them were thinking about the last conversation, about choosing each other, about drifting, about comfort turning into distance. This time, dinner was at Lauren and Jason's apartment in downtown Seattle. The city lights were bright. When Emma and Ryan arrived, the building was modern, all glass and steel with a view of the skyline that made everything feel alive. Lauren opened the door with the same confident smile. "You made it. Come in." The apartment was warm and stylish. Soft music played. Candles flickered near the windows. It felt less formal than last time, more relaxed, but also more charged. They started with light talk again, work updates, traffic jokes, a new cafe. Lauren had discovered beneath it something unspoken moved between all four of them. They had crossed into deeper territory at the first dinner. There was no going back to surface-level friendship. They ate around a small round table, closer together than before. Lauren reached for Jason's hand while telling a funny story, but her eyes drifted toward Ryan when she laughed. Emma noticed she wasn't angry. She was aware. Jason asked Emma about her photography again. "Did you take any new shots this week?" She nodded. "Just small things. Street scenes. People walking home. You should show them at a local gallery," he said without hesitation. Ryan looked up. "A gallery." Emma shrugged lightly. "It's not that serious." Jason leaned forward. "Why not? You talk about it like it matters to you." Ryan watched her carefully. He realized he hadn't asked about her camera in months. After dinner, they moved to the living room. The city lights outside made everything glow softly. Lauren suggested playing a simple card game, something fun and fast. They laughed, teased. Each other competed lightly. For a moment, it felt easy again. But during a break, Ryan and Lauren found themselves alone on the balcony. The cold air hit their faces. The city buzzed below. "You've been quiet tonight," Lauren said gently. "Just thinking," Ryan replied. "About what?" He hesitated, then answered honestly. "About what Jason said last week, about people staying instead of choosing." Lauren nodded slowly. "That line stayed with me too. They stood side by side, not too close, not too far." "Sometimes," Lauren said, looking out at the skyline, "it's easier to talk to someone new. No history, no pressure." Ryan felt the truth in that. New conversations felt lighter, less complicated. But he also felt something else, a warning in his own chest. Inside, Emma and Jason were talking near the couch. "You look different." "Tonight," Jason said quietly. "Different how?" she asked, more guarded. Emma gave a small smile. "Maybe I am." Jason leaned back. "Can I ask you something honest?" She nodded. "Are you happy?" The question landed hard. Emma didn't answer right away. She thought about her home, her marriage, the years shared with Ryan. She thought about comfort, safety, and the slow fading of excitement. "I care about him," she said carefully. "That's not what I asked." She looked at him, surprised by his boldness. Jason's tone remained calm. "I'm not trying to cross a line. I just think people deserve to feel alive." Emma swallowed. The word alive echoed in her mind. A few minutes later, Ryan and Lauren stepped back inside. The air felt thicker now. Not inappropriate, just honest. Lauren broke the tension. "Okay, serious question. Do you think marriage changes people for better or worse?" Jason answered first. "It shows who you really are." Emma added, "And sometimes who you're becoming." Ryan looked at her. "And if you don't like who you're becoming?" Silence fell again. Lauren gave a small shrug. "Then maybe you adjust." "Or you wake up," Jason said. The words moved through the room like a wave. No one was flirting openly. No one was crossing boundaries. But emotions were rising to the surface, and that was more powerful than anything else. Later that night, when Emma and Ryan drove home, the city lights faded behind them. The car was quiet. Ryan finally spoke. "Did you enjoy tonight?" Emma stared ahead. Yes and no. He nodded slowly. Same. She turned toward him. "Are we doing something wrong?" He thought about that carefully. "We haven't done anything wrong, but I think we're noticing things we ignored before." Emma felt tears threaten her eyes. "When Jason asked if I was happy, I didn't know what to say." Ryan's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "What would you have said a year ago? That I was, and now?" It's closed slowly. "I don't know." The honesty hurt, but it also cleared the air. At home, instead of going straight to bed, they sat at the kitchen table. No phones, no distractions. Ryan looked at her fully. "I felt something tonight." Emma's heart raced. "What?" "Not about Lauren," he clarified quickly. "About us." "Ah." "I realized I miss you." The words surprised both of them. "I'm right here," she whispered. I know, but we stopped reaching. Tears rolled down her cheeks now. I felt seen tonight, and that scared me. Ryan's voice softened. I want to be the one who sees you. That was the moment it got out of control, not because of betrayal, but because truth had broken through years of quiet routine. They talked for hours about work stress, about dreams left behind, about how easy it was to blame time instead of effort. Didn't mean to drift, Ryan admitted. Neither did I, Emma replied. The next morning, Ryan made a decision. Let's take a weekend. Just us. No plans, she asked. No friends, no schedules. She nodded. Meanwhile, across town, Lauren and Jason were having their own difficult conversation. I liked the attention, Lauren admitted quietly. Jason didn't react angrily. So did I. They sat on their couch facing each other honestly. But it made me realize something, Lauren continued. If we need outside attention to feel alive, that's a problem. Jason agreed. We shouldn't look elsewhere to fix what's ours. There was no drama, no accusations, just reflection. That weekend, Emma and Ryan drove to a quiet cabin near the water. No city noise, no distractions. The first night felt awkward. They weren't used to long conversations anymore. But slowly the walls lowered. Emma showed him her latest photos. Ryan really looked at them. He didn't just nod. He asked questions. These are good, he said sincerely. Why did you stop believing that? She smiled softly. Because no one asked to see them. He reached for her hand. I'm asking now. They walked along the water the next morning, cold air brushing their faces. Ryan told her about pressures at work he never shared. Emma listened without. Interrupting it felt new again. Not because they were different people, but because they were choosing to show up. By Sunday evening, something had shifted. Not magically fixed, but awakened. When they returned home, they called Lauren and Jason. Maybe we slowed down the dinner nights, Emma suggested kindly. Lauren understood immediately. I think that's wise. The friendship didn't end. It just changed shape. Clearer boundaries. Honest intentions. Weeks later, Emma stood in their kitchen, sunlight pouring through the windows. Ryan walked in, wrapped his arms around her waist, and kissed her forehead. Gallery submission deadline is next month, he reminded her. She smiled. I know. He looked at her the way Jason once had. Attentive, present. And this time, she felt seen by the right person. What got out of control wasn't desire. It was awareness. It was the realization that love doesn't fade loudly. It fades quietly, through neglect and comfort. But it can also return through effort and courage. That second dinner didn't break their marriages. It forced them to look at them. And sometimes that's exactly what love needs.